Hey there, everyone, entrepreneurs and business enthusiasts. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Talking Business with Ritz, the show that humanizes entrepreneurship. So I'm your host, Ritzel Loredo-Rectra, and today we are going to talk about topics that's all about empowering women in sales. So make sure to drop your questions in the comments and stay tuned for the Q&A segment where we will feature your questions, of course, and provide specific answers. So by the way, just a heads up, this episode is brought to you live via StreamYard. And if you're looking to level up your streaming game, check out the link in the description to snag your StreamYard account. Okay, all right, Pambam. Now, make sure to grab your notepads and get ready to learn, from the best because we're about to showcase the human behind the title before the offer. So let's jump right in. All right, we are now in the Know the Expert segment. All right, get ready to meet an amazing guest today, and she is known as the Sales Success Specialist and is the brain behind the Minett Sales Academy. All right, let me just change this. Whoop. With over 30 years of frontline experience in sales, she has honed her skills and expertise to help women conquer their sales fears and double their sales without feeling salesy. Now, she's a three-time Representative of the Year awardee and consistently surpassing sales targets in multinational corporations. Whew. All right, now, as the CEO of Minett Sales Academy, she is on a mission to empower women like us, transforming their approach to face-to-face selling. Her unique program, which is called the Sales Confidence Formula, is revolutionizing sales training and coaching by providing actionable insights and proven strategies to elevate sales success. So today, she is going to join us to share her wisdom and insights on how women in sales can simplify their approach and actually achieve outstanding results. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to Katherine Minett.
Yay! Thank you, Rick. I love that music you had on earlier. That was fabulous. I was dancing in the backstage there to that.
All right. I like that. Okay, now we are thrilled to have you here, Katherine, on the show. How are you today?
I am absolutely wonderful, but I have to say it's nighttime here and getting close to my bedtime. So we had to make a special time, didn't we, Ritz, to be able to coordinate this interview so that I can come to you today. So I'll be hopping off to bed as soon as I finish. But I'm really excited to be here, and I want to share some really golden nuggets for your listeners today. And as you did mention in the post that you put out for them, is I do have a special gift as well. So we'll give out the details about that at the end, so all your listeners will get access to
that is good to know. That is good to know, Katherine. And now it's time to discover the person behind the title. Let's get to know our guest in a deeper level. So are you ready, Katherine?
I'm ready. Yes.
All right. Let's start with the first question. Maybe set up the stage right now. Okay. Who is Katherine Minett on a personal level?
On a personal level, so some of you might notice the accent. It can be a bit confusing for people, but I'm originally from Liverpool in England, but I've been living in Australia now for over 30 years. So my accent is a little bit of a blend of the British and the Australian. So I'll forgive you for being confused about where I might be from. And I currently live in Brisbane, or as you said earlier, it's Brisbane.
Brisbane,
okay. Which is in Queensland in Australia. I live here with my husband, Andrew, and he helps me with my business. He does all my back end stuff for me. And I have a cat. I have a cat, which is an Australian mist, called Coco. My son has left home now, so we're empty nesters. And what we love to do is we like going out walking the weekends. We're going out for breakfast and a walk tomorrow morning. And we like traveling generally. We spent some time in Europe last year, and we are planning some more trips later this year. So we love to travel. And what I really love about my business is because it's mainly online, that I can travel with my business. So I love that balance of freedom to travel, but also still being able to run a business and be able to help people all over the world now because of the wonderful world of technology that we live in.
Yes. Thank you, Internet.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. All right. So could you briefly let us know how did your path begin as a sales success specialist?
Well, I started my career in selling, I say, when I was a young girl. I was about 6 or 7 selling apples and oranges door to door. So that was my first sort of introduction to selling. And I later moved on to a car washing business, door knocking. Then I had a babysitting business. But I didn't get into formal selling, a proper sales role, until I graduated from uni. And I graduated with a business and degree and marketing diploma. And you would have thought that with business and marketing, that at some stage I would have learned about how to sell. But unfortunately, they don't teach that at uni. And my first job in sales was a complete disaster. I left before I got fired because I really didn't know how to sell. I was winging it all the way, like a lot of people do. And shortly after then, I emigrated to Australia. And I got another job in sales because that was all I knew how to do. And I realized that this company also was not going to give me the training. So I went out on my own and decided I'd pick up some books. I attended seminars and I taught myself how to sell. So I basically implemented everything I was learning. And I was fortunate enough to get a job in a major pharmaceutical company. And the good thing about bigger multinational companies is they have training departments and they teach you how to sell. So I was able to upskill further and continue in the last 30 years in medical and pharmaceutical companies developing my skills. And that's where I was able to win Rep of the Year award that you mentioned earlier. Did that 3 times. Yeah. And I was made redundant after about over 30 odd years in sales. I was made redundant, and it was a gift. It really was a gift. I was at that time in my life where I was ready to go out on my own. I'd always wanted my own business, and I've been selling all my life. I had been dabbling in online marketing as a hobby, as an interest. And so I was able to bring the two together. And so here I am now. I built the company Minett Sales Academy. I created the product, the sales confidence formula, out of all the pulling together everything that I knew about selling and what worked for me. And it isn't just about the basic sales skills that you often get taught. It is also about the mindset. So I think it's worth talking a little bit about that today, Ritz, about the mindset of selling. It's very important. And I include that with all my training.
All right. I love hearing my guest's origin story that had helped shape who they are today. So thank you for that. Now let's get to know Katherine on a more personal level. Are you ready for a lightning round of fun questions?
Right. Okay. I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. What is your favorite word and why?
My favorite word. My favorite word and why? That is a very good question. I think I've probably got a lot of favorite words. I think one of the most important words that I think about a lot today is gratitude. Gratitude. I think that is important. I think if more people had gratitude for what they've currently got, they might be working towards bigger things, goals and aspirations and bigger purposes. But if you can be grateful and have gratitude for what you actually have in this present moment, that can change your whole way of thinking. So being grateful. And so at the end of the day, I often think about all the things that have happened to me during a day and what I'm grateful for. So I go to sleep thinking about all the things that have happened in my life during that day that I'm grateful for. And that's been a fairly new word for me that I've really been focusing on. And I write down as well what I'm grateful for. And I think that helps you keep positive and stay focused on, it helps you keep on track for your bigger goals. So even when things don't work out exactly how you want them to, and that often happens when you're in business or in sales, being grateful in the moment can really help switch that thinking. So,
All right. So the word is gratitude. All
gratitude.
right.
Yeah.
Next question. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I'm a morning person, which is why that's why I'll be going to bed very soon. Yes, I have a cat. Remember my cat, Coco?
Yes.
He's a morning person, which means I'm a morning person. So he is in my face in the morning meowing. So I do not get a chance to sleep in. He wants feeding. So I'm forced to be a morning person. And my husband is also deaf. So he doesn't hear him. He does not hear him in the, well, if he's right in his face, he will. But generally, he doesn't hear the meows as much as I do. So I'm the one that gets up early. And once I'm out of bed, that's it. My day starts. So plus also living in Brisbane in the summer, you know, the sun comes up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30. It's like early in the summer. So I wish we did have daylight saving, but we don't. And so, yeah, especially in the summer early. Yeah.
All right. That's interesting. Now, what is your favorite way to start today, aside from feeding your cat?
Well, I used to always be with a cup of tea, being English. I've switched now to black coffee recently because apparently if you drink black coffee with no milk, so that the idea is I'm extending my what's it called? Intermittent fasting, so that you don't eat until later in the morning. Well, when you're up early with a cat, it means that, you know, at some stage early in the morning, I'm going to want to eat something. So I found now that having a black coffee can put me on till later in the day. So that is the first thing I go to now. And in the morning, I like to sit with my coffee and I sit outside and get the morning sun. Because of my red hair and fair skin, I can't go out in the bright sunshine. I get burnt. So I get a bit of morning sun, so I get my vitamin D, and I sit with my coffee, and that is my meditation time, where I just sit silently and just, be with myself and my thoughts and think about what I'm going to do for the day. So it's that quiet time before my husband gets up and I have to get on with the day and appointments start. So I do enjoy that part of the day.
All right, that's interesting. I learned something new today. Black coffee, huh?
Black coffee. Yeah, you can't put milk in it because that breaks the fast. But apparently black coffee doesn't break the fast. And I think a good mug of black coffee can keep you going a little bit longer before you start eating. So it means my fast can last longer.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. Now, next question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Best piece of advice I have ever received.
Yep.
A place for everything and everything in its place. There you go. That was something my dad said to me, I remember, because he was very meticulous about, we always had to tidy up. Everything had to be tidy and put away. And I remember him saying a place for everything and everything in its place. And I still have that. It's like I always put my phone in a certain place. When I take my earrings out, I put them in a certain place. When I put things away where they're supposed to be. And it is a great habit to get into, because if you don't and you need to quickly grab your keys, well, if you have several places where you drop your keys, you've got to run around to all those places to try and find them. Whereas I just have one place for my key, one place for my shoes. Everything has its place, and it makes you more efficient.
Yes,
and reduces the risk of being late for a meeting.
Correct. That's streamlining your day, actually.
Yeah. Tip
all right,
you on place for everything and everything in its place.
All right. Thank you for that. Next question. Now, what is a favorite book that changed your life?
A book that changed my life.
Yeah.
I've read so many books. I am an avid reader. I think, well, the first sales book I ever read, in fact, I've still got it. It should be here. If you pull it out for people. It is this book. I haven't read it for a long time, but I read it a lot when I was younger. This is back in the 90s. I got this book. Tom Hopkins, How to Master the Art of Selling. So it's a very old school style. You look at the pages, they're yellow and dogged. That was the first sales book I ever got, and I've still got it. And I think that changed my life because that was the first book I read on sales. And I've spent 33 years of my career, probably longer now, in sales. So, I mean, I've read lots of books, since then, but that was the first one that got me on the journey. So I'd have to say that was the book that influenced me the most. I could rattle off lots of other good books, of course, but we wouldn't. It'll be midnight by the time I finished.
All right. Now, okay. What is one word to describe your coaching style?
My coaching style, I would say, is open and well, it's two words actually. Openly collaborative. So it's very collaborative. So coaching is not about telling people what to do. Mm-hmm. It's about asking questions so that people find the answers for themselves, because people are more likely to take action and make changes in their life when they've come up with the idea themselves rather than being told what to do. But I say collaborate because I also bring in an element of skills and experience about sales. So a lot of my clients, they want to know about sales. So I need to provide some teaching in there. So I call it an open collaborative approach, because I'm not only asking the questions to help my clients develop their skills, but also at the right time, providing that support and training and knowledge that they need to know to be able to help them move forward. And that's where my coaching is not just coaching, it's also training. So I have an online training program, and I work with the coaching that goes along with that program. So it's coaching and training. So it's an open collaborative approach.
That's nice. Now, in 3 words, how would your friends describe you?
Oh, full of energy. There you go. Full of energy.
I can see that.
I do have a lot of energy. And here I am. I'll be going to bed soon, but I've still got energy inside me. Full of energy. I think people energize me. So as soon as I get out into a group and I'm with people, my energy picks up. You get 2 types of people. They either feed off the energy of others and it makes them more energetic. That's me. And for some people, they are drained by people. They find it hard and tiring to be with people for too long. Whereas I'm one of those people that actually I need to be surrounded by other people, which is why I like networking. Networking is a great way for sales, for prospecting, for building your business. I like being out there. I like coaching because that's with people. I like doing training because I'm helping people. So full of energy. I've been described as that. I remember actually when I was a GP rep, when I first came to Australia, I went to visit a GP, general practitioner, the doctor, selling in pharmaceuticals. And when I got back to the office, the office lady had said to me, "Oh, I believe you've been at so-and-so surgery today." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "How did you know?" And apparently the receptionist had phoned up about something to the company and had said that I'd been in and that I was actually a breath of fresh air as I came in the door. But that'd be very similar to that, full of energy. I think that's what happened. I just walk in and I'm like, "Yep, I'm on." It's like, "Hello, how is everyone?" So, yeah.
All right. It's like lights on.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's showtime. Catherine's in the room.
All right. Now, a last question. Okay. What advice would you give your younger self?
Advice for my younger self would be, don't worry. Don't worry about what's going to happen, because it's all going to be fine. And everything always works out in the end. And isn't that true for life? I mean, we can all have ups and downs in our life. And I've had ups and downs in my life. No one gets out of this world without having something happen to them. And as you get older, more things can happen, the loss of people in your life, parents and whatever, friends even, and challenges with business. And even in my career as sales, you don't win them all. There was some, business opportunities I worked at that didn't go to plan. And they were upsetting when I put a lot of work into them. But I think everything has always worked out at the end of the day. and still is. And I think you could save, I could have saved myself a lot of worry, stress, and anxiety, worrying about what's going to happen in the future, when really, it's all going to work out in the end. So, yeah.
All right.
A good question,
yeah. That is awesome. I have more.
Oh my goodness, we haven't finished. Okay.
Once we go to the learn from the experts, where we're going to talk about your topics, and then after that would be the offer. All right. Now, a big thank you to you, Katherine Minett, for being a good sport. It's been truly an honor getting to know you better in this segment. All right.
Love it.
Okay, now it's time for the next part of our show. But before we jump into that, if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. And to our live audience, keep those questions coming for the Q&A session later. All right, now let's continue to the next segment of our show, where we'll have the opportunity to learn and even more than Katherine's expertise in our Learn from the Expert segment. See you soon. All right, welcome back, amazing fambams, to Talking Business with Ritz. Grab your pens and notebooks, because you won't want to miss these game-changing strategies in the Learn from the Expert segment. Now that we've had the pleasure of getting to know Katherine Minett, let's move to our first topic. Okay, here we go. All right. Our first topic is about sales confidence, turning doubts into dollars. All right. Now, Katherine, many women in sales struggle with confidence, especially when faced with rejection. How do you help them overcome these doubts and build confidence that they need to succeed?
Yeah, it's a big problem because a lot of business owners, they don't get into business to become salespeople or even to do marketing. They get in because they've got a product or a service that they love, they want to do, and they want to help people. They want to change the world and make an impact. But in order to do that, they have to market and sell themselves. And because they never got into the business to do that, they avoid it in many cases. And well, hopefully some of them will go and get the training, but some people don't get the training, so they struggle. And in fact, that is, I think, contributes to one of the reasons why a lot of people fail in business in such a short time. Within the first couple of years, a lot of businesses have gone under, and it's because they don't really embrace the whole marketing and selling. And so where selling fits in, marketing is attracting people to you. It's that the marketing, the promotion that you put out, whereas selling is actually converting those leads that have come into your business and then converting them into clients. And a lot of people don't know how to do that, and they don't want to do that because they don't want to be that salesy person.
Yes.
And it's because they've had a bad experience about what salespeople are, so they have it in their mind. That's a salesperson. They're pushy, sleazy, con artists. They can't be trusted. They're just going to manipulate me and try and push me to buy something I don't want. And so with all this negative idea about what a salesperson is, they obviously don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
And the problem is, because if they've got this idea in their head that that's what a salesperson is and they don't want to be like that, but at the same time, they need the customers, they need clients. They need that because they need cash flow in their business, because cash flow is the lifeblood of the business. Yes. And I would liken it to you're driving a car and you've got your foot on the brake and the accelerator at the same time. Yeah. So it's very hard for a car to move forward. It just goes round and round, the donut effect.
Yeah.
And it's the same in the mind. You've got this like two, pushing and then pulling back. So this is why they struggle to move forward in their business, because they just cannot embrace what selling really is. And so they need educating. And this is one of the first things I think that I work on, is educating them about what selling really is and reframing their mindset to what selling is, so that they can understand that being a good salesperson, it's about helping people. It's about being of service. It's about educating them. It's about solving their problems and building relationships and effective communication. It's all this good stuff. And so if you reframe your thinking to being not, I'm a sleazy salesperson and being pushy, but think of yourself as, I am a confident, I am professional, I'm a problem solver, I'm a good communicator, and I help people, then that is a much better reframe of your thinking, which is going to help you be able to take those steps forward. So that's the very first thing that you need to do. Work on that in terms of just that first step to developing your sales confidence.
That sounds empowering, Catherine. Now, can you share a specific strategy or exercise that you found particularly effective in boosting sales confidence among your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I do some hypnosis. I did a hypnotherapy course a couple of years ago. So I use a little bit of hypnotherapy now with my students. So I have an audio that they use. That's just to works on their fears and their sales confidence. I've got 2 that I work on. But something, as I say, with that reframing, what I get my students to do and what your listeners could do right now is just start by writing down exactly what thoughts you have. So what is it that's going in your head? What are the words that are you saying that are negative, that are putting you off from moving forward selling? What are you telling yourself? What are the stories in your head? And write them down. If you write a list of what they are on one side of the paper, and then on the other side next to it, reframe. So write down, but you need to do this with a pen as well. I always say write with a pen rather than on the computer, because there's a brain connection, and it's scientifically proven that when you handwrite like a journal or you're doing exercises, to actually use a pen. So write down all those thoughts going on in your head on one side, and then on the other side, change that story, flip it, do the opposite. What is the positive thing that you can say to yourself instead of the negative? So that is the first exercise that I would get people to work on.
Okay, let's do this. For example, I'm afraid to sell because they might reject my offer. How do you reframe that?
Reframe that. Then you might say, I am confident that when I'm selling, that they will accept my offer. So just flipping it. And there's no right or wrong in the way that you say it. It's whatever words you feel comfortable with. So it'll be different for everybody, which is why everyone has to go through that and do the process themselves. And so as long as it's a positive reframe. So we're moving towards positivity and away from that negative talk.
All right, those were fantastic insights.
Yeah.
So now that we've tackled boosting confidence in sales, right? We cannot talk everything in this show, but
no, there's a lot to talk about. But that's the first part of the sales confidence formula, is working on that sales confidence, shifting your beliefs, your habits, your values, all those sort of things, so that you can appreciate and even just being able to how do you handle your fear when it comes up on this technique. So there's a lot that I could go into, but unfortunately we don't have enough time for that. But yes, that's just the starting point.
All right, so now that we've tackled boosting confidence in sales, so let's talk about some actionable strategies to overcome procrastination and turn it into proactive prospecting. So we're diving into the second topic, which is turning procrastination into prospecting. So Catherine, for those struggling with procrastination in their sales efforts, what are some practical steps they can take to shift their mindset and become more proactive in prospecting?
So this is the second part of the sales confidence formula. So we've dealt with knowing what to think. Now we're moving in knowing what to do. So what are the action steps? And I work with my clients with the 5 strategic sales steps in order to be able to keep moving forward. So they would be things like goal setting, because a lot of people don't have goals. And if they do have goals, they haven't got them written down or they haven't written them down well. And then there's having a purpose, a clear purpose, because if you don't have a clear purpose is like your North Star. It's the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. It's the thing that drives you. It's the thing that when things don't go well and you're going off track, you can bring it back to your purpose. Why are you doing what you're doing? If you don't have a strong purpose, which is aligned with your goals, then it's very hard to stay on track and on, moving forward. And also, in terms of preparation, planning, and of course, prospecting. So we've got all the P's there. And in order to do prospecting, this is the big problem. Prospecting, it's so critical to selling. You really need to be prospecting and getting out and meeting people and talking to people and presenting your offer to people. Because if you don't do that, then no one's going to know what you have to offer. So you have to be doing it consistently. And that is a key word, consistency. So with the procrastination, a lot of the times it comes back to that fear. So we talk about the fear. Exactly. It's the fear that stops people from prospecting. And that's why they procrastinate. That's one reason. And that's why we dealt with the fear initially, so that will unleash their self-confidence so that they can move forward and actively prospect consistently. So it is linked into the fear, and that's why we work on the fears first. Procrastination, another little thing about procrastination is it's a habit in a lot of things. So habits, it's very important. We look and delve into people's habits and what habits are they doing, or what habits are they not doing that are affecting their prospecting and influencing whether they are procrastinating or not, because people get into the habit of procrastinating. So this is what we do. We delve into exactly what are people's habits. Are they working for you? There's no good or bad. Is it working for you or is it working against you? Because what's good for one person might be bad for someone else. So we need to delve into that. So have a look at your habits. Have a look at your habits, and also go back to your fears and see if those two areas, or how much those two areas are influencing your procrastination to prospecting.
All right. Now, in your experience, what role does time management play in overcoming procrastination and maintaining a consistent prospecting routine?
Yes, critical. It's absolutely critical, and that's part of my the strategic sales steps is about planning, strategically planning and preparation. So making sure that you have, obviously you need to be using a calendar, for example. But how do people use their calendar? Do they have like a big to-do list and there's nothing on their calendar? That's one way of doing it. But a technique that's really useful, that I found very useful, that I teach my students, is when you've got things on a to-do list, instead of having them on a to-do list, which can become very overwhelming, transfer those actions onto your calendar by scheduling them into your calendar, into your day. Allocate a day and a time frame. So 9 to 1 or 8 till 3, whatever. Schedule a block of time to do the key activities that you need to do to move you forward. So prospecting, for example, block time in the calendar, schedule it so that you will do it consistently, and treat it like it's an important client. That time is like having a meeting with an important client. And so being structured is very important, and using a calendar to structure your day. And when that time comes up in the calendar, you take action on that. Whatever you've said you're going to do at that time slot, you do it when it comes up. You don't go, I'll do that later. No, you do it. So, and that's where good habits come in. So everything, you can see that everything sort of weaves in together.
That's a good idea. No, I have a lot of to-do lists.
You do? Okay, we'll start looking at your to-do list and schedule the thing on the to-do list. Prioritize them, what actually needs to be done and when, and plan it in your calendar for when you can do it. You're more likely to, and then when it comes up, do it. Take action.
I'm going to do that. Yes, thank you for that tip. Now,
Nice.
Could you share, other than the calendar, any proven strategies or techniques that entrepreneurs can use to overcome common procrastination triggers and maintain momentum in their prospecting efforts?
Triggers for procrastination. I think it comes back to those habits. And again, looking at the habits that you're doing and which habits are triggers for you to procrastinate. And a lot of people procrastinate because they procrastinate on things they don't want to do. Maybe it's not their strong area, like prospecting, for example. It makes them feel uncomfortable. So they avoid it because they feel uncomfortable. So I think even just looking at yourself and your what actions do you actually procrastinate on? Because there'll be things that you don't procrastinate on, and there'll be things that you always procrastinate on. So identify what they are and then look at them. Get a magnifying glass, that's metaphorically, but really look at yourself and write down, what is it? Why are you procrastinating? What are you actually trying to avoid? So what's the discomfort there? Because there's obviously a discomfort. There's fear, maybe. It may be that you've got lack of training, lack of knowledge, lack of skills. So you just put it off because you don't want to feel uncomfortable. And if it's like with the fear and uncomfortable, the way to overcome that is, I say simply take action. But sometimes it's just a case of scheduling it in the diary, setting a time, having someone hold you accountable to it, to doing it, like a coach or a mentor, a friend, accountability buddy, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then when that time comes up to do it, you don't wait, you just do it. And do you know Mel Robbins? I love Mel Robbins. I follow Mel Robbins, and she's got a great technique that she teaches. And I teach it now. You learn something, I like to share it. She uses the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 launch technique. So what she says is, and the science behind this is, when you don't want to do something, like go to the gym or pick up the phone or send an email or press record on a video and go live, whatever it is that you're avoiding, procrastinating on, just count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and do it. Because you've only got 5 seconds before that voice in the head will start chattering and talking you out of it. And we all have it. We all have that chatter in the head. And if we listen to that chatter in the head, it's going to throw us off. It's going to tell us, no, don't do that. You'll look stupid. It won't work. All those negative. You're not good enough. Who do you think you are? Yeah. So don't allow it to even come up. You've got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just do it.
Do it.
And here's the good news. When you keep doing it, it's like an inoculation against that fear and that procrastination. Every time you take action on the thing you don't want to do, it gets easier. It gets easier. And eventually you look back and go, I don't know what I was so afraid of, because you just kept doing it.
You get used to it already, right?
Yeah, I call it it's an inoculation. Like an inoculate. And but there'll always be something. That is the next challenge. You'll overcome one, there'll always be something else. So these are skills and techniques that you have to consistently use throughout your life to keep you moving forward.
All right. There's tremendous value bombs there. Thank you, Katherine. So as our viewers absorb these lessons, let's explore the third topic, which is sales conversation, turning calls into customer. So Katherine, when it comes to sales conversation, right? What are some key elements or strategies that can help turn initial calls into satisfied customers?
Yeah. So with the sales conversation, this is the third part of the sales conversation, sales confidence formula. And so we've dealt with the fear. Now that fear, when you've overcome the fears and you've got techniques for when the fear comes up, because we all get fears, and it will come up even when you're face to face with someone. So we can't avoid it because it's a natural thing that is built into us, that fight, flight, or fear, freeze response. But the successful people, they know how to manage that those fears with techniques. So when they're in a sales conversation, for example, if all of a sudden things don't go to plan, you get asked a difficult question, or you're asked to get up on stage all of a sudden present to a group of people and you weren't planned for it, those fears come up. There are strategies to help you deal with that. And so dealing with the fear is going to help that sales conversation. And then the second part, we just talked about the planning and preparation. If you have planned and prepared your sales call, that means when you get in front of someone, your prospect, you're going to be ready to handle the sales conversation, handle the objections. You'll be prepared to know what questions to ask. You'll know what to listen for. So the sales conversation is all about what you say and how you say it when you're in front of your prospect. And you're bringing in all the other elements into that conversation. But the sales process is basically, in a very simple format, it's basically there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning is the introduction. It's how you open the sales conversation. It's setting your objective, knowing what your objective is for the sales conversation, and being prepared with the open questions. And then as you go through the middle part, it's all about asking questions, listening, paraphrasing, understanding, finding out what their problems and concerns are, listening carefully, drilling down deeper so that you get a clear understanding about what your prospects' pains and challenges are, so that when you shift into presenting your product or service, your offer, your solution to their pain, their problem, you now know how to position that, your product or service, in such a way that they're going to go, oh, this is the perfect solution for me. And then the end part of the sales conversation is all about, you might handle any objections that might come up, but the critical part is then asking for the business, being able to confidently say, so when should we get started? Or would you like to start today? Or shall we get on with the paperwork now? Whatever your line is for moving someone to the sale and asking for the business.
All right. I love that, Katherine. Now let's tie it all together. In your experience, what are some pitfalls to avoid during sales conversation, and how can entrepreneurs navigate them to maintain momentum and close the deal?
So pitfalls of selling. Sorry, I didn't quite understand the question.
So what are some common pitfalls to avoid during sales conversations?
Pitfalls to avoid.
Yeah.
Okay, some of the pitfalls to avoid. Well, not being prepared. Not doing your preparation. Okay. Rocking up, forgetting who you're supposed to be meeting. There might be several people and you've forgotten their names, especially if you've been to lots of different appointments and you start getting confused. If you have a lot of appointments in one day. But knowing who you're seeing, what their position is, are they the decision maker or are they an influencer? What is their role? Also, in preparation is knowing what questions to ask. So rather than winging it during the conversation, spend some time prior to the meeting preparing your questions, knowing what your objective is and knowing what questions you need to ask in order to get to your objective. So that's critical. Another pitfall is rocking up to a meeting and not having your materials ready, forgetting to bring your product, forgetting to bring the paperwork. Forgetting to bring, maybe you are going to do a presentation and you have to be prepared to deliver a presentation without the PowerPoint sometimes. Because let's say you get there and they go, sorry, we don't have the adapter. We can't get technical failures, power goes out. I have had this happen to me, Ritz. I was visiting, I was visiting a hospital on the Gold Coast. It was doctors and nurses, and I was doing a training on a drug. And so I had a whole room full of doctors and nurses, and I had the PowerPoint ready to go, and it wouldn't work. It was like, no, sorry, we can't do it. You're just going to, and I just went, well, that's okay. I'll do it on the whiteboard. There was a big, huge whiteboard on the wall. So what I do is I got everyone can everyone just turn around this side of the room towards the whiteboard? I literally got my markers, my pens, and I started whiteboarding the whole presentation. And it
Wow.
it was to do with a drug and how it worked on it was for kidney patients, renal patients, and it was to do with a drug that helped the bones, but it affected the kidney, and then it was calcium, and I was drawing the kidney, and I was drawing the bone, and I was sunlight coming in, and because I knew my presentation so well, I could just whiteboard it and deliver the presentation and draw pictures. But it was only because I knew that presentation really well. Preparation is key. And you know what the amazing thing was about that day? The general manager of the company was out on the road with me. Wow. So it could have turned into a real disaster day, but because I knew what I was prepared, I knew my product, I knew how to present it, that I was able to just get up and deliver it confidently. But it was only because of the preparation. So pitfalls, avoid your pitfalls by being prepared. Do all your planning, know what you're talking about, bring in the materials, know what questions to ask, have a clear objective.
All right. Wow. That's mind-blowing, actually. And I can't imagine I'll be in your shoe that day.
And it was like one of those things where, you know, those situations where I've just got to make this work. I had to. And I was just, there was no way. I couldn't just collapse in a heap and go, sorry. I had a whole room full of people.
I think I'm going to try.
Anyway, it was all good. He wrote a glowing report.
Wow. All right. That is what an incredible interview we are having today. All right.
Love it.
All right, now back to the Q&A. So I've gathered some question and from my network. I have how many? 1, 2, 3. I have 5 questions right now. Okay, let's intro the segment. Here we go. All right, first question. All right, how do I know if I'm targeting the right audience for my product or service?
Well, you need to know. You've got to know. Well, you know your product. Obviously, you know what your product is, and you know your product or your service inside out. So I suppose the first question is, who is it for? Who has got the biggest problem, the biggest challenge, the biggest pain that your product or service solves? So problem, there's a problem here and you've got a solution. So the question is, who has that problem? Who? And it could be many people, and people say, oh, everybody, I can help everybody with this product.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, in marketing and sales especially in marketing, if you try to, have you heard the expression, if you've tried to help everyone, you help no one. If you try to catch 2 rabbits, you don't catch any. Yeah. So you've got to be very laser focused, because there's going to be a primary group of people who are going to absolutely need your product or your service. Exactly. So if you can identify who they are first, so they'll be your A customers, and then the next ring out would be your B customers. So they potentially could have that problem. So, and you're working your way out. So instead of saying everybody can use my product, and it might be true. It might be, you're selling water. Okay, well, everyone can benefit from water, right? We all drink water.
Right.
But, it's targeting into who are those key people that absolutely, positively need my product. And for some people, salespeople, and business owners, it might be a case of choosing. You might have a choice of different people. Which ones do you want to work with? If they're all being equal, who would you like to work with? So if you have to select. Now, for some companies, that when I was in medical sales, it was pretty obvious. When I was selling a medical device for oncology, so the cancer patients. So I used to sell portacaths. So it was basically a metal device that went into, or plastic device that went into the chest. And it was to help them have their regular chemotherapy treatments. And it was implanted, and they access it with a needle. So I knew exactly who needed my product. It was the oncology doctors, the oncology nurses, the supply department. So there was a number of people that I would have to speak to in order to get my device into that hospital. And so I wouldn't be necessarily calling on the emergency department because they don't put the ports in. But the surgeons would, the oncology surgeons, so the general surgeons would, the oncology nurses would have an influence. So it's knowing who are the key people that need your product and also make the decision about that product as well. So you really need to do that research first and really know who they are and target them first. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, next question. I hope that answered the question. All right. Next question is, what are some practical tips for following up with potential clients without being pushy?
Well, I always say, if you're in an appointment and you've had an appointment, you're wrapping up the appointment and you know you're going to need to follow up, then make the follow appointment while you're there in front of them. You'd be surprised how many people don't do this. Okay.
Yes, I don't do that.
All you have to do is you're having a chat. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, well, we need to follow up on this. I'm going to have to think about it, or I'm going to have to speak to someone else or whatever. It's like, I'll need to, whatever they've got as a follow-up. Maybe you need to get back to them because you need to get more information for them. And so don't leave it as an open calendar. You have to lock them in and say, excellent. Well, I'm going to be back in your area next Thursday. Thursday or the following Tuesday. Which one would work best for you? Give them a choice of two. So instead of saying, when would it suit to come back? They'll go, oh, I don't know, I'm pretty busy. If you self-select for them and you say, Tuesday or Thursday, which is best for you? Now, they might say, look, neither of those days. Great. What about Friday or Monday? Give them a choice. Chances are they'll go, oh, well, Thursday's better for me. Excellent. In the morning or the afternoon? Like 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock? Again, you're giving them a choice of two. Morning's a nightmare. Make it the afternoon. Okay, 2 o'clock. Oh, I've got something at 2. Oh, how long is that going to take? About an hour. Well, let's make it 3. Okay. Thursday at 3. Excellent. Let me put that in the calendar. I'll send you a reminder. Bang. You don't have to worry about chasing them up for a follow-up. That meeting will happen as long as they don't call up and cancel. But if you didn't do that meeting in the first place and you're on the back foot chasing them to get another appointment, and they're all, then the whole urgency of that conversation, you've brought it to their attention how urgent it is, their problem, and you've got the solution, and we need to move forward on this. If you walk away without the appointment in the calendar, then they're going to go off the boil. Other things are going to come on their plate that will become more important, and they'll go, well, you know what, I'll do that later. Lock them in with an appointment.
All right, that's a good idea. Now, how do we handle objection? I think the objection that's about the next question. So what are some effective ways to handle price objections from customers?
Yeah. And one of the things, and I know some people debate about this, but in terms of talking about price, when you bring up the price, you need to make sure the price comes up at the right time. You don't just give someone the price up front. If you talk price too early, you will probably lose them because they will make a value judgment based on a price, which means if you give them the price before you give them the value of what you're offering, they are going to decide whether your price is too high or too low. That based on whatever perceptions they have on that number that you've given them. So I always say, when it comes to talking about the price, yes, you will need to bring it up, but you need to bring it up at the right time. And that time is always after you've given the value of what you're offering in such a way that when you do bring up the price, it doesn't seem so expensive. They already see the value in what you're offering. You know, you've layered all these extras. You tell them all the stuff that you're going to give them and the saving it's going to make, the time saving, the money saving, the whatever benefits that they're going to get. So when you come in with your price, their value's up here and the price is here, and they go, oh, well, it's like a no-brainer. That's really good value. So it's very important about when you talk about, and that will help reduce the price objection. So be prepared for that. And also with any objection, especially price, work out what you're going to say before it comes up. And in some situations, you can actually bring up any price objection yourself and handle it as part of a conversation so that they don't have to bring it up. But that's done in the planning. And I go into more detail with that with my students, exactly how to do that. But yeah, certainly you should have planned everything before you get into the sales conversation. So there's no surprises. And everyone should be prepared for a price objection because you know it's going to come up.
All right. You'll be more confident talking to your supposedly customer.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Now, how do we handle difficult customers' feedback?
I've met a few difficult customers in my time. And you got to think about, what is the word difficult? What exactly is that? There's so many difficult customers, and you can have difficult situations as well. I mean, I've walked into a situation in the hospital where there's just been a whole heap of people being made redundant. Like there was restructuring happening. And so people were losing their jobs and they were short staffed. I was arriving to do training. And what happened is I realized very quickly is there was no point me doing any training that day because nobody would be listening to me, right? So difficult situation. I've just walked into it, just bad timing, I suppose. No one told me to not come. I arrived. And so sometimes you have to be able to read the room, the energy, the people and what's happening, and be able to back off and say, you know what, how about we reschedule this? How about we make a different time for me to come back when it's more convenient? They will love you. They'll be like, thank you. And I've had that. It's like, thank you, really. So sorry. You've come all this way. It's like, no problem. Let's get the calendar out now. When's going to be the next time? Let's lock it in. So rather than me forcing, I've just flown up from Brisbane, I'm here in Cairns, and I want to do my presentation, and I want to do it now. But sometimes you just have to, back off. Other difficult situation I've had to deal with many times is back orders. I mean, if you work for a big company that supplies consumables, and it's going to be times when you're on back order, and that is a terrible situation. And during the last few years, there's been many situations of products going on back order. So how do you handle the customer's expectations? And the key word is communication. If you've got a difficult situation, you need to communicate often. You need to communicate effectively. You need to let them know what's going on. So there's been situations where I could not provide the product for the customer. I didn't have it. We didn't have it in the country, but they needed it, medical devices. So what I did in that situation is I found out who the competitor was who had that product, the alternative, and found out and said, this is what you need to get, and told them where to go to get it, made it easy for them. And I found that by doing that and being of service, because remember, that's what we are as the salespeople, we're service providers. By being of service in that situation and making sure that the customer was not inconvenienced because we were on back order, we were able to help them by them using someone else's product. They remember that. And don't lie to them. You've got to be honest and upfront in your communication. And sometimes also in advance, if there's going to be the proverbial's about to hit the fan, it's coming. If you can talk to your customer in advance that this is coming and this is your strategy of how you're going to handle it, they will appreciate it. And then you can avoid a difficult situation.
All right. So you got to be proactive.
Absolutely. Proactive and communicate. Regularly.
All right. So that's the last question. A huge thank you, Katherine, for sharing your valuable insight with us today. Now let's shift gears in the next segment. All right, which is the last segment. You can drink water.
I was going to say, have some water.
All right. So now let's shift gears into the next segment where we will talk about how our audience can benefit from your expertise through your offers and services.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's bring in the intro for that. Stay tuned.
Okay.
All right, welcome back. Fantastic Bambams. What an insightful segment we just had. Catherine had shared so many golden nuggets that you would not want to miss. Watch the replay and learn how to sell without being salesy. All right, now it's not just about absorbing the information, but implementing them into our business and our lives. All right, let's strive to progress, not perfection. So let's move forward with the work with the expert segment to discover how can we benefit from Catherine Minett's expertise. So, Catherine, can you tell us what about the offerings or services you provide as the sales success specialist? So the stage is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Ritz. I really appreciate that. And I have mentioned it as I've been talking with you today. The Sales Confidence Formula is my coaching and training program. So those three elements of knowing what to think and dealing with the fears and unleashing your sales confidence. Then there's moving on to the second part, which is all about knowing what to do. So that's the 5 strategic sales steps, doing all the stuff before you get in front of someone. And then the third part is all about the knowing what to say and how to say it. It's that sales conversation process. And when those 3 things are all working together, then that's the sweet spot in the middle where sales are made. And they all sort of intertwine with each other, but there is a process that you have to go through. So I have an online training program where I take my students through. Well, they go through it. It's also, they get access and they go at their own pace through the training. But I also provide the coaching. And I think it's absolutely imperative that coaching is provided with a training program, because it's too easy for people to sign up for coaching and then procrastinate. Something important comes up, Netflix or school child, something that is urgent, and then the training gets put on the back burner. But if you know you have a weekly coach, and I do a group coaching, so they come to it together as a group, and that coaching means that you're being held accountable for what you said you were going to do, then people who are held accountable are more likely to take action. So I help them move through the training to be implementing what they're learning so that they can get the results from the training. And so that's what the Sales Confidence Formula is all about. And so I invite your listeners to book a call if they're interested to learn more, to book a call with me. I do a sales challenge breakthrough call. And it's also a way of me finding out whether you're actually ready to do the training. You're ready to have a breakthrough. And my program is actually invitation only. I don't have lots of people on my program. I have the right people who are ready to make a change and they want to take their sales to the next level. So it's a 2-way, people decide whether they want to work with me, and I decide whether I want to work with them as well. So it's collaborate together. And one of the things I've got for all your listeners today, because not everyone's going to want to book a call, but I'm sure some of your listeners will want to learn more about sales and some of the techniques
exactly.
that I teach, and get to know me a little bit better maybe before they book a call. They might be still thinking about it, but they've only just heard about me. So that's okay. I have my special gift, which we mentioned at the beginning of the call. My special gift is my Let's Talk sales training, and it's a video sales training, and it comes into your inbox, and you click on the link and it takes you to a page where there's a video with me providing training, and also some videos on some of the podcasts that I've done where I'm talking about sales topics, something similar to this. And so every week you get a different topic about sales. And what this sales training will do, it will give you insight into what selling is. It will give you tips and techniques that you can start implementing straight away. And it will also mean that you'll get to know me better. And maybe one day in the future, when you feel like, yeah, I want to have more of what Katherine's offering, then book a call with me. But if you're ready now, then yeah, I'll give you the link as well for the booking a sales challenge breakthrough call. So if you're ready for that, I would love to speak with you. If not, then register and get the Let's Talk sales training video to sales training series.
All right, that's fantastic, Katherine. Now, and for our audience who are interested in working with you, where can they find more information aside from the website? How can they reach out to you?
Yes, they can reach out to me via LinkedIn. I'll give you all these links, Ritz, so you can put them
All
out.
right, sure.
Yeah. LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, Katherine Minett, sales coach and trainer. I'm also on Facebook as Katherine Minett, and I'm also on Instagram as Minett Sales Academy. And of course, you've got my website, Minett Sales Academy. So there's lots of ways that you can connect with me and reach out. As I say, if you want to have a conversation with me, then book a sales a sales breakthrough, a challenge breakthrough call. That would be a good way, so we can have a chat.
All right, that is great. Very interesting. What do you call that? Offer you have there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
and
now
that's the thing as well. I've got to get it now because I am going to be turning it into a product.
Oh,
I've only just launched it, so it won't be available for free forever. But at the moment, it is available. So grab it now before it turns into there'll be a credit card here. But at the moment, it's free. So yeah, grab it now.
Okay, let's all sign up for the Let's Talk sales training. All right, now Bam Bam, if you're ready to take your sales skills to the next level, check out Katherine's offerings. All right, now don't miss this opportunity to work with her. I'm going to sign up too.
Yes.
All right, and visit the website that is running at the bottom right now. All right, I encourage you to reflect on the golden nuggets shared by Katherine Minett today. Remember, implementation is the key to progress. Okay?
Yes.
And that wraps up another incredible episode of Talking Business with Ritz. What an incredible conversation we had. And I want to express my deepest gratitude to you, Katherine, for taking the time to be here with me today. It's been an honor having you here on the show.
Thank you, Ritz. It's been my pleasure. And I trust that your listeners will have got some great knowledge and tips and things to take away and implement straight away. So, yeah, my pleasure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Katherine Minett.
Thank you.
All right. Stay with me, Katherine, as I close up the show. All right. Thank you once again, my Bam Bam, for joining us today. Next on Talking Business with Ritz, our guest speaker is an expert in, let me just plug in. Here we go. Our guest speaker is next on Talking Business with Ritz. Our guest speaker is an expert in personal branding and marketing. She will be talking about how to use PR to build brand awareness and gain visibility, no matter the size of your company. So this topic is very helpful for entrepreneurs, and especially those that are just starting their visibility campaign. So join us again next week, where we continue to bring you engaging conversation with experts who empower and inspire, just like our guest today. All right, now until next time, keep hustling, everyone. All right, stay inspired and keep thriving. This is Ritzel, Loredo-Rectra, and our guest expert, Katherine Minett. Stay safe and healthy, and let's continue talking business with Ritz. Bye, everyone.